Hello, Kako. Welcome back to another Mo'olelo Monday. Today we are filming out of the Grandvia Hotel, Hiroshima, Southgate. I guess I have two different hotels here. And it's really cool because it's close to the bullet train, which is what you guys saw at the beginning of this video. And that was my actually my first time um, riding on the bullet train, which was I was more excited than it actually ended up being. Got myself hyped to ride the bullet train and ended up it ended up being just like riding the plane, just kind of confined to a spot, sitting, waiting until we get to our location. So, but it was fast. I'm not gonna lie, that sucker was fast. And of course, Japan is way bigger than the islands of Hawaii. I was making mention to some of the people here when they asked about home and stuff like that. I was like, I really took it for granted. Like, I would complain when my wife or family or somebody had have to go do something, you know, um, in Eva, Kapolei, whatever. It's like, because from one Manalo to those places, it's like, oh man, it's like a 40-minute drive, right? 50-minute drive. And I would think to myself, oh my gosh, this is too much. And we're sitting on top of the bullet train for like 3 hours. We're sitting in cars for hours. And it's just to get from one location to another. And everything's so widespread out. It's amazing, actually. It's definitely a feat when you see all these roads and tunnels and everything that are working to connect everyone here in Japan. It's amazing how they made it happen. All the planning, all the just work that went into creating the system of roads. Awesome. And they do it under good leadership. Leadership is such an important thing. To good leadership, anyway. And they have good leadership here. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about today, was not necessarily leadership, but like Kuleana, yeah? It's the when people come to the islands and they hear the word Kuleana, especially when they start getting interested in the culture, most people would say, oh, Kuleana is your responsibility. It's a value, a Hawaiian value, because you're responsible to do your task, to make something, create something, or even to acquire something, right? So that your people can continue, persevere. But in actuality, Kuleana means privilege, because all the things that we do in our life is something that we can grow from. It's something that we can like increase who we are as people. So in order to do something, you have to make sure that you're in the right state of mind. You have to make sure that you have the best intentions in doing what you're doing, because your mana translates into the work that you do with your hands. Yeah. So when you make food, when you play music, when you dance, when you sing, you are offering out your mana. You're giving your energy. And so these are the things that you have to remember too when you have Kuleana, when you have this privilege to take care or to malama people, or to malama a job, or to malama an area, yeah, the aina. Well, these things are so very, very important, and you can't really think of it as a responsibility, because responsibility is a pretty heavy word, right? It brings about stress when you think about how you're not doing your responsibility, or you're just you're not meeting expectations, right? But when you think of it as a privilege, this is a privilege. This is something given to you. Even if you're not meeting expectations, you're still learning from the experience. So it's still a positive thing. It's not like you're stuck Oh, well, I didn't get this done fast enough. You're stuck in that mentality, right? It was my responsibility. I didn't do it. I failed. But when it's a privilege, you can think about it a different way and says, well, the next time I am offered this job or the next time I have to do something like this, I'll think about doing it a different way. Yeah, it's a learning, a growing experience. And so our leadership has a kuleana. A kuleana to its people and a kuleana to everything basically that's, you know, um, in their power to take care of. Like our families, right? Our leadership starts off as our parents. Our mother and father try their best to raise us how they feel at the time is going to be sustainable for their children, how it's going to be the right way for their children. This is what their mindset is. And that's something that they learned through their parents. And that's what they learned through their parents and their parents and their parents. And I get it. Like sometimes when we're at work and somebody new comes in and they're, oh, this is the new boss. I mean, there's a lot of nervousness that comes along, right? Pihoy hoy vale. A lot of nervousness that comes and hits you inside when you have a new boss. When you have a new boss, you feel like you're kind of like being singled out. Even though you're not. I mean, your boss who's coming into this new business, they're the ones that feel the same way. They're like, wow, I better make a good first impression. I better make sure I do my job right. There's a lot of people counting on me. And here we are thinking, well, I better do my job right. I want to impress the boss or, whatever it is. But our initial learning comes from home. And when you're children, when you grow up and have children of your own and you start that kuleana of being a parent, a makua, you start spreading your knowledge into your children so that they can be successful in life. And if all they see mommy and daddy doing is playing on top of their little rectangular box here, that's all they see them doing, then that's all they're ever going to understand. Your children are going to believe that that is the way of life. And this disconnects you from people, right? We use it for business, so there's an excuse now. There's an excuse to as why we use this so often. Oh, I'm texting my boss. Oh, I'm texting my coworkers. Oh, I'm texting this. I'm texting that. But it's an excuse. It's used as like lies, right? You actually just want to go online and check out someone else's Instagram, or you want to check out Twitter and you get lost scrolling, right? You want to play your video games. There's a whole bunch of things that keep us from doing the things that we need to do. Our kuleana, right? Our privileges in life. Because these things are not a privilege. They call this a luxury. Yeah? This is something that we can live without. Well, some people can't because, they do have a business. And they do actually use it for the right reasons. But I mean, like, we have computers for that too, laptops and whatnot. Convenience makes things difficult. It makes it hard to see foundation when you have something that's so convenient like this, like a cell phone that can do everything. There was this time I'm sitting at my desk in work, and I might have mentioned this story before during one of my previous Mo'olelo Mondays, but I'm watching this, or I could see this person walk into my classroom from the side of my eye. And I think it's a teacher, but when I turn and look, it's just this body of mist, this fog that's rolling into my classroom door, walking in like it owns the place. And then it lays down on top of the ground in front of me and it starts to spread out and dissipate into my classroom's rug. And I'm thinking, whoa, that's crazy. But, it's funny because I had this in my pocket the whole time. I could have, and on it is a camera, right? Not just a camera, but it's also a video recorder. So I could have actually been recording the whole incident as it was happening, but because me, growing up without these kinds of tools, it didn't dawn on me that I could have just brought my phone out of my pocket and started filming the event. So something like that with the convenience, I mean, that's a good thing, But just remembering to actually use it during the appropriate time that is, yeah. Not during class when you're at school, not while you're teaching, not while you're driving. Okay, see lots of people driving the car, right? The phone up like this, driving the car, and all of a sudden you see the car just gonna jerk because they weren't watching in front of them. That's another thing, driving, right? In Japan, I'm amazed. I am freaking floored by the Kuleana of these drivers here in Japan. Because all these guys, I mean, like, they're working their way back and forth, right? They have priorities too. Pedestrians and people on bicycles, priority. They slow down for these people. And I was like, oh, I was watching these guys just ride their bikes. And I was like, back at home in Hawaii, they would get creamed. Because we feel that we're more important than anyone else. We don't care. Well, if the bike came out of nowhere, I just banged him. The kid was crossing the road going to school at 7:30 in the morning. How was I know he's supposed to be there? Oh, because it's school time. That's when the majority of people are walking their kids to school and driving to school. And you got some lolos driving around with this in their face, right? Which is why we're talking about these rules and whatnot, the kapu, the kanawai, whatever, are laws, right? We make these laws why? So people can break them, right? Because nobody wants to have Kuleana. Nobody wants to have that privilege of going by the rules. They think, well, man-made rules, whatever. I can just cut through this red light real quick, right? I can just drink and drive and cream some college student on School Street. Her life is over, but, you know, at least I had my inu. At least I had my fun. Ridiculous. But when I watch, yeah, like I was saying, when I watch the people in Japan, it's crazy. It's crazy how beautiful it is to watch them maneuver and drive. I mean, like, in some ways, it's kind of like from what I learned about driving, it's kind of rude, right? They're cutting around people, moving around, but they understand it. They understand when you're cutting around somebody, it's because the person turning, they're in the way, right? So the person turning also moves off as far as they can to the side of the road so that people can go around them. We cannot do that kind of stuff back at home. People wouldn't know how to act. People would not know how to think if given the opportunity to use their brain rather than follow signs. Crazy. So it all stems from home. It starts with your parents. Your parents had their parents. And then once you receive that information, it's up to you, yeah. And then a lot of people, when they get older, it's like, well, I was never taught that, or it was my parents' fault, or whatever like that. It's not. Because once you become an adult, you're responsible for your own learning, you know? I mean, at least you should be. You should still be continuing to grow. You shouldn't rely on everything that you learn to come from one place. Right? You have many schools of learning, many schools to learn from. And learning from people inside your circle may not always be the best. Right? I mean, the reason why you're in a circle, like at work or friends and stuff like that, is because you're bringing something, you're offering something to that group. You guys are all privileging information to each other. Sharing. So that you can make things bigger, like the people here with their roadways and their rice flats, you know? There's a lot of small things that go into these enormous undertakings. And if you don't have that solid foundation, your buildings, your infrastructure, everything is just going to fall apart. So it's important to have good leadership. Now, I don't want to really get into politics or anything like that about the main leadership of countries and governments, because that's not my Kuleana, right? It's not my privilege to run a country. I may have opinions and thoughts about smaller things, like a person's dignity or a person's integrity or a person's faithfulness. Like, I can have an opinion about that. It's up to them what they want to do with their life. I'm not in control of anyone else's life, but I can say that what they did was stupid. I can say what they did was awesome, right? Everyone has an opinion. But when you're dealing with a lot of people and you need to be a leader for all those people, just keep in mind that it's your privilege to be in that position. Yeah, there's responsibilities that come with it. But here you are in charge of all these people, making sure that they're fed, making sure that they have water, making sure that they can get from place to place safely. So kind of like our Liia. When I was growing up, a lot of brainwash was going on. All these things being great, all these things being terrible. Topsy-turvy. I always knew in my heart there was something wrong with that. But in my head, I was thinking, wow, how amazing. We were brought out of the darkness and put into the light so that we can live better lives. But our leadership was just putting the blindfolds over us and telling us what it is that we needed to do, what we needed to say, what we needed to accomplish just for their gain. Now that's wrong. That's terrible. Brainwashing people, or as they like to call it nowadays, gaslighting. The new term, right? Never heard that term ever growing up, but apparently everyone likes to use that word. And that's another thing about terminology, is like it changes a lot over time. And none of these kids, like I'm watching these kids at the school using all this brain rot, and none of them know the origins, and none of them understand why they're saying what they're saying. Slang used to be a witty thing, right? It was something like a reference to something else that happened, something that was popular at the time. But now it's just babble. Kids are speaking babble because that's all they have, because all they've been raised with is this guy. Where are the parents? Where are the parents, who have the privilege of raising a human being? They're also stuck on this. New gizmo, new toy. Time to play. Whoa, this thing takes up a lot of time. I didn't realize it's already 3 hours past dinner. My kids are starving. It's all right. They found a snack. They found some junk food to eat. So when your children start eating or living unhealthy lives because you are preoccupied with your little gizmo, that's kind of bad, right? But if you can see it, if you can see those times where you start slipping and you start moving into a way where it's unhealthy for your family, then good for you. That's good. Make some changes, right? We don't have to wait till New Year's to do it. We don't have to wait for somebody to tell us something's wrong to do it, because we know what we're doing is wrong. As leaders, as parents, we already know that we're doing something wrong. But instead of making those changes, we're so comfortable and we have so much fun with these things, right? And I'm not just saying like this. There's other things that people get, addictions, right? There are things that people get stuck on, fascinated with, and just take it too far. It goes too far. Fascination with themselves, narcissistic, right? When you love yourself way too much, there is no possible way you're going to be able to take care of anyone when you love only you. Your Kuleana becomes to yourself, right? You malama only yourself. And what I've learned is, if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. And taking care of yourself doesn't mean spending many, many hours ignoring your family, ignoring your responsibilities and your privileges, ignoring your children, ignoring your health, right? So anyway, getting back to the whole brainwashing. Ali'i. Oh, these are Ali'i. Or chief, right? Chief. As the natives of the people of Americas, right? They would say, oh, this is the chief. Then you have like kings, right? Oh, well, this is a king. What's greater? Well, when you break it down, kings are rulers of land, property. And chiefs are caregivers to people. So I think one of the biggest things, or one of the biggest problems that happen, is that we got a king. when our king should have remained chief. But I understand what happened, the reason why it happened, right? He was trying his best to, our king, Kamehameha, was trying his best to navigate the waters that had been slowly changing because of new arrivals. Other people that had other ideas for what they wanted. And when they saw this land, which was ripe for whatever necessities they needed as a stop-off point, when it was just boats going across the water, when they saw us as a little place to, rest their feet, take in some mea'ai, right? Find some wahine, enjoy some times. Perfect spot. When they started learning that things could grow here year-round, they can make money now with an export, right? Never once worrying about the people who lived on the island, spreading diseases, right? Damaging the aina, routing water from one place to another to serve the military or to serve just a business who's trying to grow their export. Never giving back to the people who are living inside this aina. Never thinking about that because it's all business, right? It's all about money. It's all about me. So instead of worrying about the people like the chief would, they're just concerned about the land and how land should be separated like a king. And our people were never about ownership of land, because land is a person. Land is papa. Land is mama, right? Land is what offers us everything we need to survive. Therefore, Papa's Kuleana is to us taken care of. She's the biggest chief because she is the aina. And she provides us everything, us people, as everything we need. Which is why we're so grateful and give honor. And all these things are just kind of slipping away, forgetting. So the land is going to get mad. The land is going to produce crops that are unhealthy. The rains are going to dry up because people are just raping the land. Or reaping the land. Whatever. Killing all the plants. All the animals got to find someplace else to live or they die, go extinct. The rainforest just disappears and so does the rain. Water dries up and all of a sudden, how come we can't grow the same crops that we used to? The water's not pouring down from the mountains like it used to. Why is that? Because the rainforests were chopped down. All that business dries up because you're not taking care. Yeah? No malama, no kuleana. One of the major follies, or one of the major things, or the biggest thing, was the idea of giving away the land. And that happened back in the 1800s with King Kamehameha III, when he did the Great Mahele, and he offered the land to the people. Biggest mistake, right? They had no foresight. They didn't know what was going to happen. With the traditions and values that they were given growing up, they knew that they had a kuleana to take care of the aina, but the people that were coming here, the foreigners, they didn't view things the same way. So as soon as these walls and these fences and all these signs started going up, you're not allowed on my property. What do you mean, your property? What are you talking about? This belongs to me. And they're like, what? I don't get it. We did not understand. There was no concept of ownership of land. When you had a parcel, that means you were to take care of it. It was your kuleana to take care of your area. And that area was not yours to own. It was for yours to take care of. So just like the religion that came, and they says just pray to one God to get rid of all your sins, we don't need our protocols anymore. We don't need to worry about prayer. We don't need to worry about, prayer to our family, our thanksgiving to our family. We don't have to use these oogie boogie ways of getting rid of evil energy. Like our tea leaf and our pa'akai and stuff like that. Not necessary anymore. So the same thing happened when it became land distribution. The Hawaiian people didn't understand. They thought, okay, well, if everybody has a parcel of land, we all have to take care of it. We now become chief because we need to take care of this. King. We become king of our land because we need to take care of all these parcels. And when the foreigners came in with these wonderful things like toys, they said, hey, take this and give us your land, the area that you're supposed to be taking care of. Right? Even trade. Take this. You can have this. We'll take the land off your hands. We'll take care of it. Not knowing their version of ownership of land. It's not for them to take care of it and then the people can come and say, oh, wow, look how beautiful you're keeping it. I'm going to take some bananas. Say, no. You can't take any of those bananas. Those bananas are mine. It's growing on my property. They're like, what? What do you mean I cannot? It's on my property. You can't come on here and take my bananas anymore. Before that, it was understood and known. You can go wherever the F you want and grab whatever you want. It was meant for everyone. It's just like telling your brothers and sisters. You got 8 brothers and sisters. Let's talk about the octomom. 8 twins, right? What do they call them? Octuplets. Only got 2 meme, right? 2 wayu. So it's just like saying, no, this wayu, mine. You find another place. Go. Really? You're going to deny your brothers and sisters a place to drink, a lap to sit on. Your mother doesn't belong to you. Your mother belongs to all of your siblings. Right? Mom takes care of all the children, not just one. But anywho's whatsy. Our leadership. Malakai. Yeah? Our ali'i and our mo'i. We are all given Kuleana, or the privilege to lead. Some people feel like they should be leading more because they want more. Some people feel like it's like, wow, the more I have, the harder it is to take care. And now I need friends. Now I need help. It's just too much. It just gets greater and greater and greater, and it just gets heavier and heavier. And people break. Or they just let things slide, That's the thing, is the laziness, right? It starts seeping in. All these small things here and there that we should be avoiding and whatnot. Distractions. It leads us to not taking care, malama, of the things that we should be. And our privileges start disappearing. The popular saying, right? God giveth and God taketh away. It's true. So I guess the idea is just to be grateful. Be mindful of the things that you have and how you need to take care of it, right? That's our privilege. And be mindful of what happens when you start to just miss things. There's a lot of times where people from the military would call us down to investigate a home. And when we would see their living style, their living situation, they have paranormal activity in their home because of certain things. Something's going amiss. They're not watching their children. They're not cleaning up after themselves. Their houses are a mess, right? Their house is dilapidated. It's falling apart. These are not safe conditions for their family, right? For their ohana. And so I said a story back a while back. I'm sure I did it inside one of these Mo'olelo Mondays, but Mickey came down to the house and she went through our living area to find all the different hot spots to see where it was haunted. And one of them was my daughter's room. And she said that there's a female spirit, an entity, some kind of akua that dwells in that area. And she loves cleanliness. And so she would come into the room at night when the room was a mess. So we made it a point after she said that, after Mickey had told us that information. It was our Kuleana, our privilege, to make sure that the room was always clean, things were picked up off the floor, so that this spirit was happy. So that it wouldn't come back and scare anybody in the middle of the night because she wanted the place clean. Now, whether or not she is a family or a deceased loved one from before, or she's just the spirit of the Aina coming to remind us to make sure that we take care of our area, we'll never know until it's over. But I think the most important thing right now is, if you have a privilege of having a family, then you should malama them. You should take care of them. If you have a business and you have all these employees, you should malama them and take care of them, because that's your privilege. They are doing something for you anyway. They're helping you to survive. Same thing goes with this country. Any country. You have Kuleana to take care of the people and the places of a massive quantity. Yeah. Make sure that you have love in your heart for the people and the land. That's the only way you can be a successful mo'i and a li'i. Okay, well, that's it for this Mo'olelo Monday. It's going to be a short one because we have some places to go and people to see. What, meet? People to meet. All right. Aloha, ahui ho, malama pono.